Welcome to Milestone Moments, the show where we explore the journeys that lead to success. I'm Sheila Slick, your host and founder of 5 Milestones. In every episode, we will bring you insights from the minds of entrepreneurs, leaders, and experts who will share not just their expertise, but the milestone moments that have reshaped their journeys and led to significant achievements. So if you're looking for motivation, you're in the right place. Subscribe now and discover the milestones that mark the path to success. Welcome to another episode of Milestone Moments in Business and Leadership. I'm your host, Sheila Slick, and today my special guest is Kay Oliver. Kay is a dynamic storyteller with degrees in both radio, TV, film, and an MBA. With over 3 decades in entertainment, spanning studios, TV stations, and film production. She's defying Hollywood's gender biases and the notion that female-centric stories lack marketability. Kay became an author championing women's resilience through compelling characters like archaeologists and anthropologists who navigate life challenges with humor and imperfection. Her literary journey began with the success of Disturbed Tombs, evolving into the Dr. Kylie Worthy series, and it includes works like Road to Elysium and her latest, Ice Cream Moments, where she explores family dynamics with empathy. Welcome to the show, Kay.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
This is a very interesting background you have. I don't know where to start digging in.
Yes, I understand.
How did you transition from working in Hollywood to becoming an award-winning author?
The transition was a leap of faith. However, there was a predecessor to that in the sense that I worked in Hollywood and did advocate for women in the industry because it is a male dominated industry and pretty much still is. It's starting to change a bit. The industry itself, technology-wise, is making it change as well, because before you had to have all that equipment in the studios and all that, and now you can do it on a phone, so that helps broaden who can create content and places to display it. However, during my journey in Hollywood, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and I was let go of my job the next week. Which meant my income and my insurance was gone, and I had to survive the help of friends and family, and I did that for, like, a year and a half having to, survive on that. So when I went back after, being, cleared of cancer, I had different priorities, right? Life was different. I put up with a lot less, and, decided I know female stories can sell. I know that we can have strong women with intelligent minds if they happen to have a counterpart, that person is also strong and intelligent. Nobody has to be put down in the stories. Not one character has to be weak and goofy or unintelligent. And I decided that if I did it when I didn't plan on doing it and survived it, I can do it when I'm planning on it. And so I took the leap, wrote Disturbed Tombs, and won 4 literary awards on that book alone. That was my first, debut book. And now my 15th book is coming out. So I have truly enjoyed writing. I am still advocating for women through my characters, and my books. They are action-packed, they have humor, they have flaws. All my characters in my books have flaws because, we have flaws, self included. So, I like to make sure that I write very, very compelling stories that I wanna read. I'm a Clive Cussler fan. He writes, I believe he writes the Jack Ryan series. Oh, yeah. Anyway, um, action-packed, but they're male, right? Male action-packed, um, type of, whodunits mysteries, and I thought, "Let's just switch it up and let have some highly intelligent archaeologist in that first book who makes a major discovery, and then, I've got 3 book series going now. I have another one where, she is a scientist as well and retires to a ranch, and there's a whole story around what she finds on her ranch. There's a one where a woman becomes a private investigator, all because she inherits a house and finds a letter from a confessed killer that nobody knew about. So all my women are strong, action-packed, able to handle a gun, or able to take on whatever's coming their way, go to a foreign country and do what they need to do and get out safely. And I make sure that I'm writing those kind of characters because all the women in my life are strong, highly intelligent, take on the world type of women that I know and that I gravitate towards. And I'm writing about those people because we exist. We are here, aren't we? So, yes, so I write about that.
So is all your work fiction or is it based on a true story? How does that work?
Most of my books are fiction. I have Road to Elysium is based on a true story, and that does have a male lead character, but there is a strong female character in there as well who helps him through some of his issues. That was based on a news blurb that I heard on TV, and then I tried to find out more about it, and nobody had written anything about this amazing life that happened and circumstances that happened. And then the latest book that's coming out is also about a particular serial killer, but it's more about the aspect of what the police go through to try to get the information from him that they want to recover the bodies and how they are left with not being able to get all the victims back and how they have to live with that. Well, I don't think we think about that very often that, their goal is to try to recover everybody and make families whole again. And, serial killers like to keep it to themselves. That's their little trophies. And how do you live with that? So I explored that in my book that's coming out. So a lot of it a lot of my stories are what ifs. Disturbed Twos was based on a question I had for years. Why do we exhume every mummy we find? We find 28, we exhume 28. But our graveyards, you're not allowed to touch them. They're in peace, right? Why are we disturbing the peace of every mummy? For the sake of science and history? Do we need to exhume every mummy? Do we need to go scavenging through and finding kings and people buried? Do we have to find them? I mean, can we just find them and say there they are and leave them where they're at and leave the treasure and everything where it's at? And so that was what Disturbed Tombs was based on, and I answer that in my own way.
I like your process, and I've been writing nonfiction books, so understanding a bit about how you're beginning your process, which sounds like a simple question, spark a curiosity is what just gets that idea in, and then you sit down, you create the character, and you write away.
And I
You're
right away I'm not a plotter. I think that's part of my background from the motion picture industry, having written scripts, directed. I see it all in my head. It's a place you don't want to go. And I can literally I know where I'm going, I know where I wanna start, I know how I kinda wanna end, and then I kind of fill in the gaps. I have some idea of things that'll happen along the way, but I just start writing. Yeah, I take my question and go, how am I gonna answer this? As a fiction writer, it's you, it's you, it's your thoughts, it's your twists, it's your turns. I like to throw history into my stories as well. I do a lot of research, realistic histories, and I've had readers come back and say, not only are your characters active and fun and there's humor thrown in the middle of something that should be, nerve-wracking because that's kind of a Spielberg thing. I do the same thing. Learn that from him. I learned as I'm reading your books. I'm learning that there's a different kind of horse out there I never knew existed. I didn't know there was sunken ships in the Great Lakes outside of Michigan. I didn't know there was tunnels in Michigan. I didn't know, and they read it, they go, and then I go and look, and sure enough, that exists, and I never knew about it.
So how do you do that? If it's a fiction book, how do you mix real history or real facts in the books? It's up to the reader to have to decide to Google it or research it to see if it's true or not.
Partly, yes, partly you throw history in, and if you're a reader of mine, after you've read a couple of books, you start to know those are facts. And adding real facts to a fiction book makes a fiction book less fictional to the reader, more real. So, I didn't really realize that when I started, that I didn't have my writing voice that when I started that I have today. That is something that I have found along the way that people go, "Oh, this is so real to me, and these characters are so real." I'll tell you a trick about my characters. They are real people. So, when I started writing and I didn't really know how to develop characters, I asked my friends, "Hey, I'm gonna make this character. I wanna use your first name. Give me a last name you want it to be." So in my first book, you'll come across a Doris. Yes, one of my best friends' name is Doris. I know everything about well, I don't know everything about Doris, but I know a lot about Doris, right? And I throw that into my character because I already know what she likes to eat, you know, her personality, highly intelligent, and I, and I've done that to several friends who are in my books who's I use their first name, they give me a fictional last name, and I use them as characters.
So I enjoyed learning your thinking process. And I'd love also to know what were some of the challenges you had to overcome? How did you overcome all that?
I was prepared when I left. I had, income that I was putting most of my salary away knowing that I was going to leave. And then so the challenges of the change, well, I found it an exciting set of challenges because in Hollywood, when you write a script, you have to please the producers, you have to please the powers that be. And when I'm writing my book, I'm pleasing me and my readers. That is a flip, a big change. Scripts are extremely formatted, and they are a visual medium versus a mental medium, reading. So you have to put more information into the book. And, finding a really good editor is a challenge. Finding someone who gets your style, read your books. My first couple of editors weren't the best. I even had one book go through a couple of editors, and there's still a bunch of stuff in it that was had to be fixed that I found out after readers started reading. And you go, "Oh, geez." So, learning the system. Now I started with novellas, and novella is a smaller book, right? And my first book, I actually wrote 5 novellas just to get through the experience, the covers, the editing, the process. Then I put them together to make Disturbed Tombs. I found out later that a number of well-known writers write that way. They will write a novella. They may not publish it, but they'll write a novella and then flesh it out later. And I was like, "Okay, well, but I did it that way because that's the way I figured it would work for me." But the challenge was self-reliance. Not only did I have to believe in myself, I had to trust myself that, I'm going to get this done. I'm going to do this. And I had great friends who kept going, write more, write more. So that takes a lot of planning and creativity. And you're right, you don't get into writing and publishing to make millions. I like to assist new writers, help them understand what it takes to forget your voice, what it takes to write, you need to sit down and do it. It's not going to just appear on the page. How not to have writer's blocks, how it's okay to take a few days off. You don't know, something might happen in those couple of days and you go, "That's perfect for my book," right? So, it's okay to take a day or 2 off, but once you've got that pattern of writing, and then to tell them, "Don't expect millions of dollars on your first book or millions buys." It is most people I self-publish, but most people who self-publish or publish, you'll sell about 200 books. I've sold over 2,000, but it's not the norm. So I try to explain that you need to keep writing, you need to keep going. Nobody in Hollywood is an overnight success. I learned that, so I already knew that, right? It could take you 10 years to become an overnight success. So, with that in mind, that tells me to keep going. Keep going, keep going. You're on the right path. I've won over 33 awards now, literary awards. I lost count, sorry. I've been, inducted into Who's Who and I became Fiction Author of the Year this year, 2025, through an organization. So, I must be doing something right, and those female characters must be, saying and doing the right things.
Well, congratulations on all of those achievements.
Thank you.
You directly challenged Hollywood's belief that female centric stories perhaps lack marketability by building your literary career around these female characters. What advice would you give to women creators in any field, whether it's film, business, books, archaeology, or who are being told that their vision isn't commercially viable?
Buck the system. Normally, the answer is because you don't market them like you market the male, right? So we just recently had that experience with women's soccer and women's basketball, where they started winning, and then all of a sudden TV started carrying their programs, and then they started selling out stadiums because they started marketing them. They started talking about them. And that's the reason that people, don't know about something, they're not going to go see it or view it. So it's the marketing aspect that messes with the markability. You're not marketing it, therefore it isn't selling. It's the same thing for anything else. Keep pushing, take yourself into the third person. Don't take it personally. We have to just keep at it. Just keep at it and believe in ourselves.
So, where can we connect with you or find all of these books and these female characters?
You can go to my website, which is my full name, KAYAOliver.com. I'm also on Amazon, so you can look me up on Amazon in the Author Central, or look up uh, Disturbed Tombs, and you'll find all the other books and my latest coming out. And I do send out a newsletter, so you can sign up on my website if you want that. It's about upcoming books and writer's tips that I send out. So I am across all social media, which is listed on my website.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your insights with us today, Kay, and for joining me.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
And thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Milestone Moments in Business and Leadership. Until next time.